I was homeless, but now I'm a successful business owner. Chapter 1, The Fall. My name is Jake. 10 years ago, my life took a turn I never expected. At 28, I was living the life I thought I wanted. I had a stable job in marketing, a comfortable apartment in Brooklyn, and a girlfriend I thought I would marry. But life has a way of unraveling the plans you make. It all started when the company I worked for went bankrupt. I remember sitting at my desk, staring at the email that announced the closure. The office buzzed with panic and despair. The severance package was meager, and with New York's high cost of living, it wouldn't last long. I scrambled to find another job, but the market was tough, and positions were scarce. My relationship with Lisa also crumbled under the stress. Arguments became a daily occurrence, and one day she packed her bags and left. The apartment, which once felt like home, now echoed with loneliness. I couldn't afford the rent on my own and had to move out. I stayed with friends for a while, but I felt like a burden. Eventually, I had nowhere to go. First night on the streets was terrifying. The city that once seemed so full of life now felt cold and indifferent. I found a spot in Central Park, trying to sleep on a bench. The noises of the night, sirens, distant conversations, and the rustling of leaves kept me awake. Fear and shame washed over me. How did it come to this? Chapter 2. The Struggle. Living on the streets was a daily battle for survival. Finding food, staying warm, and avoiding danger became my primary concerns. I quickly learned the best places to find discarded food and which shelters were safe. The stigma of homelessness weighed heavily on me. People looked through me as if I were invisible, or worse, looked at me with disgust. One evening, as I was rummaging through a dumpster behind a restaurant, I met Sarah. She was a seasoned veteran of the streets, probably in her 50s. She had a kind face and a resilient spirit. She shared her scavenged meal with me and gave me tips on surviving. Sarah became my guardian angel in those dark days. Her strength and kindness were beacons of hope. Despite the hardships, I never lost my desire to get back on my feet. I spent days at the library, using their computers to search for jobs and update my resume. I applied for countless positions. The gap in my employment history and my current situation worked against me. It was a vicious cycle. Without a job, I couldn't find a place to live, and without an address, getting a job was almost impossible. Chapter 3. A Glimmer of Hope. One freezing winter morning, as I sat outside a coffee shop trying to warm myself in a patch of sunlight, a man named Mark approached me. He was the owner of the shop. He handed me a cup of hot coffee and a sandwich. We started talking, and I told him my story. To my surprise, he offered me a part-time job cleaning the shop. It wasn't much, but it was a start. Working at the coffee shop gave me a sense of purpose. I saved every penny I earned, determined to change my circumstances. Mark's kindness and encouragement were invaluable. He believed in me when I had stopped believing in myself. He introduced me to a local shelter that offered job training and counseling services. With their help, I started rebuilding my resume and applying for jobs. Chapter 4. Climbing out. Months of hard work paid off when I landed a job as a sales associate at a small retail store. It wasn't my dream job, but it was a stepping stone. With a steady income, I managed to rent a small room in a shared apartment. Having a roof over my head again felt incredible. It was a modest place, but it was mine, and it symbolized a new beginning. During this time, I continued to work part-time at the coffee shop. Mark became more than just an employer. He was a mentor and a friend. He encouraged me to dream bigger and to pursue my passion for marketing. I started taking online courses in the evenings, investing in my education and future. Chapter 5. A New Beginning. With newfound skills and confidence, I applied for a marketing position at a mid-sized company. To my surprise and delight, I got the job. Felt like the universe was finally giving me a break. The salary was decent, and I began to save money and pay off my debts. Slowly but surely, I was reclaiming my life. One day, while browsing through a secondhand bookstore, I stumbled upon a book on entrepreneurship. It ignited a spark in me. The idea of owning my own business, creating something from scratch, was exhilarating. I spent months researching, planning, and saving every extra dollar I could. Chapter 6. Taking the Leap. 2 years after landing my marketing job, I took the plunge and started my own digital marketing agency. I rented a small office space, hired a couple of part-time employees, and began seeking clients. The early days were tough. There were moments of doubt and financial strain, but I was determined to succeed. Chapter 11. The Ripple Effect. My story began to resonate with people beyond my immediate circle. Local newspapers picked up on my journey, and soon I was invited to share my experience on talk shows and at motivational seminars. The response was overwhelming. People from all walks of life reached out to me, sharing their struggles and finding inspiration in my story. I decided to write a book about my experience. It was therapeutic, allowing me to process the trauma and triumphs of my journey. The book, titled Rising from the Ashes, became a bestseller. The proceeds went towards funding initiatives initiatives for the homeless, including shelters, job training programs, and mental health services. Chapter 12. A network of support. One of the most rewarding outcomes of my success was the network of support I built. Formerly homeless individuals who had gone through my agency's training program started their own businesses or found stable employment. We created a community of resilience where everyone supported each other's growth and success. I also established partnerships with local businesses, encouraging them to hire individuals from our training programs. The initiative not only provided employment opportunities, but also helped break the stigma associated with homelessness. Seeing people transform their lives and regain their dignity was incredibly fulfilling. Chapter 13. Personal growth. Throughout this journey, I've undergone immense personal growth. The hardships I faced taught me humility and empathy. I learned the importance of gratitude and the power of human connection. My experiences have shaped my leadership style